Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of Newsbytes. And for today we've got Halo 3 on PC, Threadripper 3995 WX and the rest of the Pro line have officially been announced and launched, and Nvidia has finally dethroned Intel in the sheer value of their company. All this and more after the intro, and as always, timestamps in the description down below. Alright, Halo 3 has finally launched on the Master Chief Collection. Yes, it has now officially debuted on PC, meaning that we can go ahead and finally finish the fight after 13 or so years. And hey, I'm happy. I'm sure a lot of people are happy, because I remember first playing this game back in 2008 for me, which means I've been waiting at least 12 years for this. But it's finally here, and it brings up a whole load of benefits. So first and foremost, we of course get Halo 3, now that, fully playable in 4K or even 8K if you can run it, and it looks freaking gorgeous. Also alongside that, we finally got Forge on PC, which means not only can you play Halo 3, Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo Reach Forge, on top of that it's also got new items for, players to go ahead and mess around with and make better maps. Not to mention new vehicles and other things that were previously unavailable for forging. And finally, the last major thing as part of this release is there are now challenges in Halo 3, meaning that you can go ahead and complete various challenges to level up and gain season points, rather than the traditional method of just having to grind through player versus player combats, or in a small amount of XP from other means. So yeah, all round good news. On to the next topic. So AMD has finally announced their new Threadripper Pro line. Now the first one that of course is the most important for AMD is the brand new 3995 WX. It is a 64 core 128 thread workstation CPU with 8 channels of memory. I think it allows up to 2 terabytes. But yeah, the new 3995X has got a max boost clock of up to 4.3 GHz, a base clock of 2.7 GHz, and all round it's looking to be an absolute monster of a productivity machine, meaning that not only can a content creator, a huge media company, whatever, have extremely powerful workstations, they've now got the kind of memory support that they need to have a ridiculous amount of memory on top. Also alongside this, there have been some other interesting CPU launches, including the 3975 WX, a 32 core, a 3955 WX, a 16 core. The one that I find the most interesting, however, is the Threadripper Pro 3945X, a 12-core Threadripper. Yeah, you heard me right, a 12-core 3rd gen Threadripper with 8-channel memory support. It's a very weird beast, and it seems interesting, and it's probably going to be the most reasonable for most people due to it probably being the cheapest one. I mean, sure, it's more than likely going to be outperformed by a 3950X, but this, however, has the memory support that the 3950X just doesn't have, especially with those 8 channels. But yeah, all in all, it's a very interesting launch, and I'll be very curious to see what these new chips are going to be able to do in the near future. And finally, last topic for today, Nvidia has decisively dethroned Intel. Yes, after a recent surge in stock price for, Nvidia, their market value has gone through the roof. Also, to put into perspective Nvidia's recent, stock market surge, since September 2018, they have had an increase of over 70%, from $281 in September 2018 to $408.64 per share today. It's absolutely insane, just the sheer amount of growth they've had over the past couple of years. And Nvidia now sits at a $251.3 billion market cap, which is, a considerable bit more than Intel, which is only at $248.1 billion for their market cap. Of course, this means that Nvidia is now the most valuable silicon company on the planet. But it's interesting. But of course, what will this mean long term? Well, who knows, but very least we know that Nvidia is definitely rolling in it in regards to their investors. And on a slightly related note, AMD also, as we may remember rightly, AMD not too long ago was about a tenth of the size of Intel, but it has recently increased. Whereas Intel is at $248.1 billion market cap, AMD is now up to $62.5 billion market cap, around about 1/4 of Intel, showing that they are definitely making grounds in the CPU market to actually, start to make up a much larger player in the overall silicon space. Also, it is worth noting that despite the recent stock surge, Nvidia sales are still a fraction of Intel's. Whilst the former revenue is expected to rise 34% this year to $14.6 billion, analysts predict that Intel's 2020 revenue will increase 2.5% to $73.8 billion. A somewhat increased number, that's what, 6 times? It's kind of interesting seeing how, despite the fact that Nvidia is valued more than Intel, Intel is making quite literally 6 times as much money. Interesting to note, and who knows where this could potentially lead. But that is all for today, so like the video, like it, dislike it, dislike it. Timestamps if you ever want to go back to anything, down in the description down below. Hit that like button, and maybe go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more content from me. And hey, also go ahead and check out my links. I've got a Patreon, a Twitch, and Discord server, which seriously guys, it's amazing that you should come and join along. Got a Facebook page and a couple of other things, all of which you can find in that description down below. But as always, this is the 117th con, signing off. Stay safe folks, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, ta-ra.